Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Our defense down the stretch was magnificent. We were fabulous down the stretch. I mean, I don't know how you can be any better than we were.
I feel like my game is finally ready to compete at this level, at the highest level, and I'm excited to be here. There's no other tournament in the world like this. And to come back to a place that I've had so many great memories at and so many great times in my life.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network here on a very busy Tuesday night, the night after we crowned Duke once again as the men's national champion in basketball. Tonight, in all likelihood, we'll be crowning Connecticut once again as the women's national championship, though Notre Dame is going to try to have something to say about that. Tiger Woods, you heard from him. He spoke at length today at Augusta National, as he does when he plays. We'll hear from him. We'll hear from Dustin Johnson as well. We've got USC football spring practice coverage. Mac was out for that. This afternoon, Steve Spurrier did speak. And we'll hear from Clemson co-offensive coordinator Jeff Scott as the Tigers wrap up their spring practice this week as well. And he'll talk about the progress on the offensive side. So we've got a big show for you. As always, Mike Morgan will be along with the Braves report. Braves sitting there 1-0 in first place in their division. And they said it couldn't be done.
Wow. I mean, they're just 161 games away from a perfect season. Dream big. No one expected much from Atlanta. I like how they tried to slide that last salary dump move on Easter. And nobody will notice. We'll do this on Easter. Oh, Craig Kimbrell's gone.
Yeah.
But we got rid of Melvin Upton. They probably said,
believe me,
we got rid of Melvin Upton, everybody. Yeah. And Craig Kimbrell. What? That's probably how that went down. But yeah, and it was 2-1, and you hoped, you really did hope they didn't blow that thing. And then everybody go, that's why you shouldn't have traded Kimbrell, because Freddie Gonzalez, they struggle. He could be the fall guy. Somebody will be the fall guy. That's what happens here. The manager will get blamed for the management getting rid of all of his players. But maybe if he can win 80 games with that group, he should be NL manager of the year. But a nice win for Atlanta. I love opening day. I love it. I wasn't on the show last night. I was doing the morning shift for Pro, and I got a chance to watch the end of the Dodger game. It was the Vin Scully broadcast, watching him do opening day. Real neat thing. And, of course, the Dodgers won. How'd the Yankees do?
We had our traditional opening day defeat.
Oh, yeah.
But A-Rod is off to a great start in his run to the American League MVP award, as I predict.
Yeah, one hit,
drew a walk, got a standing ovation from the Gamecock.
Yeah,
the Yankee faithful.
Hanley Ramirez hit 2 out yesterday. Dustin Pedora hit 2 out. I think both of those guys will be ahead right now of A-Rod in the AL MVP race.
Let's just see how it plays out.
Yes, that we shall.
All right, baseball tonight, USC, Appalachian State, Clemson, and Georgia. We'll keep you up to date on those games, and we'll open up those phone lines here very early. 800-956-7266 is the number. We'll be right back. right, so what'd you think of Duke's win last night? 800-956-7266. Email talkback, sportstalksc.com. Website is sportstalksc.com. On Twitter at sportstalksc. And on Facebook, it is Sports Talk Radio Network. When you go to the website, make sure you participate in the poll question of the week. Poll question of the week is this: what is the single best sports day of the year? Single best sports day of the year. Final Four, MLB opening day, NFL championship Sunday, which I happen to really like, especially if the Packers are in it, Super Bowl, Sunday at the Masters, Palmetto Bowl, which I think is my ultimate choice. You can't beat Carolina Clemson Saturday. CFP National Championship game. There's also a spot in there to add another choice. Right now, the Palmetto Bowl has moved to the front at 28%. Sunday at the Masters next at 25%. The Super Bowl next at 18%.
Yeah, I mean, in the Final Four is big, but to me, the championship game, you love it, but the Thursday, Friday, I know that's not one day, but the opening round of the NCAA tournament, when you're on your lunch break and you're playing hooky from work and you're just watching game after game, upset after upset, your bracket's still intact. Those are two pretty darn good days on the sports calendar. April's a great sports month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I was just trying to
March,
nail
April.
In the minds of the fans, what is that one day?
Yeah.
That is just the biggest in your mind. You know, some people might say Memorial Day with the Indy 500 and the Coke 600, or some might say the first Saturday in May with the Kentucky Derby. Who knows? It just depends on what you're.
In South Carolina, the Palmetto Bowl is clearly the biggest sports day.
No question about it. No question. Speaking of that, you were out at USC practice today. A lot of guys in yellow tops.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys in yellow out there on the offensive and defensive line. So I don't know how much you really pick up from these practices when you have so many different guys out there. Spurrier put it, a bunch of guys that haven't played, and that's what it's going to be at the spring game. And they're going to make it vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is going to be very basic. So if the offense picks up some yards and scores a couple of touchdowns, you Gamecock fans, don't panic.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think, here we go again. It's going to be designed that way. Spurrier did say this. Maybe this was the most intriguing thing that he said. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He said a big-time celebrity, big-time celebrity is going to be the off the sideline player. You know, every year in the spring game, Spurrier runs the illegal off. A guy comes off the sideline. Don Staley did it one year. I think
Clowney
did it one year.
I would think
Scotty
it's
Spurrier used to do it a few years.
It's got to be Lattimore.
No, he said a big-time celebrity. He didn't act like it was a former player. He just said a big star.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear him. We'll play him shortly.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't want to tip his hand though on who it could be. No clues were offered.
Players in yellow jerseys. Mike Machulis got a knee. Taylor Stallworth, he's got a pec. Brandon Shell's got a shoulder. Lawrence Bryant, a liver. Mason Zandy, a hamstring. Cody Waldrip, undisclosed. Malik Young, an ankle. Cedric Cooper, an ankle. Gerald Dixon, a foot. Clayton Stadnick, a knee. Gerard Washington, a hamstring. Carlton Hurd, a hamstring. Darren Smalls, a leg. Of course, he had that coming out of high school. Philip Dukes, a leg. And Sherrod Pittman, a leg. They will practice again Thursday, 4:15, closed to the public. And then they call it the Garnet and Black game still? The spring game.
Yeah, the Garnet and Black spring game, Corn, and they would appreciate you doing that as well.
Yeah, I just referred to it as the Garnet and Black spring game on Saturday at noon at Williams-Brice Stadium. I'll be there for that. You're going to head to the Upstate.
I am.
Orange and white game.
I will head up there for the orange and white game, which for some reason starts at 4. Never understood that. They should just start those things at 8 in the morning, get them over with. But yeah, it starts at 4 up there.
Do you think we should go with the idea of, for spring games, play an opponent, charge admission, sell tickets, play an opponent? Look, half your team is saved that way because when you play a spring game, everybody on the field is yours. So you've got an increased chance of somebody on your team getting hurt versus if you've only got 11 of yours on the field.
Thered be a little more fan interest in it. Certainly from a fan standpoint, you would like that. play a game. It's still not going to count for anything. It's going to be an exhibition game. Now, the other thing, coaches will tell you, yeah, we have 22 guys out there instead of 11, but we have guys that are a bunch of teammates, and they're not going to unload on somebody. You're still not going to crush the quarterback in a spring game. You go out there and play South Carolina and Georgia Tech, and the Yellow Jacket defensive end comes clean. He's going to go ahead and lay you out. And you have some guys that are hurt on your offensive line. You could stand to get a few more guys hurt. I don't think it'll ever happen, but spring games really are not worth the.
Well, they're boring.
Yeah, they're boring. They mean nothing. Coaches, everything's vanilla.
I've never been to a spring game that, and I've been to a lot of them. I guess over 30. I've never come away from one feeling like I've learned something.
Right, greatest spring game.
Now you probably went
ever.
to the best spring game ever.
The one with Chad Kelly. Yeah, I talked about this Friday last week. In that game last year, I also picked up how good the Clemson defense was going to be because they did divide. They had enough to divide up the defensive players, and both defensive lines were dominating in that spring game. And it wasn't just their starters. Vic Beasley was on one line, and then they might have Corey Crawford on the other side and Grady Jarrett on one side. They were very, very impressive up front. So you could tell. I mean, you can't pick up certain things, but other things, if the USC offensive line struggles on Saturday, well, they have a bunch of guys that are hurt. And often you divide guys up, and you're not playing with people that you're used to playing with, and they're mixing and matching the units. So there's not a lot of fluidness out there. So, yeah, I don't think you pick up a lot unless you have, a quarterback that decides to start cussing out every coach on the field. That can make for a little more entertainment at a spring game. Thank you, Chad Kelly, for the memory. I will always have that Chad Kelly.
30,000 plus, maybe, at Clemson and at South Carolina Saturday. Now it's about
30,000. I'll tell you, I'm going to go under.
The attendance it's about impressing the recruits. That's what spring game is all about. You want. Go back to when Alabama had 90,000. I think Saban's first spring game they sold the place was filled. I don't think they were selling you tickets. I think they had 90,000 plus. It's all about impressing the many recruits who'll be on hand for your respective spring games. So you want to have a nice crowd to show them, hey, see how much we love football? Our people will come out 30,000 plus for a meaningless scrimmage that, the frontline players hardly play in. A couple of other things to pass along to you. Tevin Mack from Dreer, the standout guard, 6'7" shooting guard, small forward. According to his mother, Paula Mack, she told the Washington Post that her son asked for a release from VCU from his letter of intent after Shaka Smart left for Texas, but VCU has not granted it yet. She said in the article that her son hasn't made any final decisions on his college destination. Paula Mack said the number one reason he chose VCU was Coach Smart. Tevin himself took to Twitter this afternoon to say, basically, ignore the rumors that you're hearing about me. I've been in touch with his coach a couple of times over the past couple of days, just trying to stay on top of it as well. And he says really nothing has happened. There's nothing to report, nothing, no definite decision has been made whether to stay with VCU or to attempt to get out of the letter of intent. Will Wade, the former Clemson administrative assistant on Oliver Purnell's staff, who has been the head coach at UT Chattanooga, is going to be the new coach at VCU. And he's a former VCU assistant under Shaka Smart. So, there is some kind of a connection there, but this is a new guy. And, we'll see how Tevin Mack reacts to that. And if he indeed tries to get out of that letter of intent.
Well, Frank Martin can't actively recruit Tevin Mack. He signed an LOI, but I'm sure PJ Dozier and Sedarius Thornwell, everybody that can is trying to get to him and see if they have an opportunity to make another run at him.
800-956-7266. Here's the phone number. Back in a moment. All right, coming up, we'll hear from Steve Spurrier, Tiger Woods, Dustin Johnson, Jeff Scott, Mike Morgan. Your calls, 800-956-7266. So who would have thought going into last night's national championship game that Grayson Allen would be the unsung hero for Duke? What a performance he had off the bench. 16 points in 21 minutes, 2 rebounds, a ton of floor burns. He was everywhere. He really sparked them when they had to have it, when things were getting a little bit out of hand for Duke. It was Grayson Allen, the freshman from Jacksonville, who came in and saved their hide. Okafor was on the bench. He was in he was a little bit of foul trouble with 2 fouls, and they sat him down. Didn't play all that much in the first half. And it was Grayson Allen who came in, knocked down some shots, and gave them a lift. And then Tyus Jones took over in the last couple of minutes. He finishes with 23 points, 71,149 at the game last night at the Indianapolis. And so Krzyzewski gets 1 for the thumb. That's 5 for Krzyzewski and the Blue Devils. And they are, you could talk about Kentucky and all that, but I mean, Duke is still the model. They are still the model of consistency and the model of excellence in college basketball.
Here's the thing. Everybody
they did it with 4 freshmen.
Right. That's what I mean. They
floor.
did the exact same thing that maybe a little more reluctantly as Coach Krzyzewski done this, but he's now doing the one and done thing. Those guys in the second half, everybody that scored a point for Duke was a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Only those 4 freshmen scored. The one kid just came. I mean, he came out of nowhere. The kid, the one that's not going to go to the NBA next year, the one from Jacksonville,
Grayson Allen,
that had the 16 points. Yeah, that was impressive. A 19-3 run to close out a championship game against an experienced Wisconsin squad. It was a great Final Four.
Yeah, it
really was.
It
One
was
of the better ones in a while.
Yeah, in fact, while we're thinking about it, we need to check our bracket to see who our winner was.
Yeah, the Bojangles bracket buster.
Why don't you do that? I meant to do that earlier.
One
of the
news
notes. No, it wasn't.
That.
It was not one of us, and it wasn't Steak Man. But we also need to see who was the smartest of the sports talk panel, which I think it was me. I think my bracket ended up the best.
You picked Duke to win it all?
No, I picked Kentucky.
Yeah.
I picked Kentucky to beat Virginia.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm the only one that got the winner then.
I picked Kentucky to beat Duke.
Mm-hmm. The NCAA baseball RPI, the first one of the year, came out today. The number 1 team in the state of South Carolina by the RPI is the College of Charleston at number 33. Coastal Carolina is 41. South Carolina is 56, and Clemson is 67 at this point. This is the official RPI that the NCAA selection committee will refer to. The number 1 team in the country in the RPI, Dallas Baptist, 24-5. Miami is second. Then it's Florida State, Texas A&M, UCLA, TCU, Vanderbilt, Missouri State, Oklahoma State, and Florida Atlantic. That's your top 10 by the RPI. Break is coming up, and we've got Steve Spurrier coming up on the other side.
Reminder about the reunion. All right. All right, man.
Normally they wouldn't get as many reps, but it's good because we need them.
Just
And we're back, Sports Talk, on a Tuesday night from our studios, downtown Columbia, main streets. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, Professor Tom Hayes will be back in with us tomorrow night. The Steak Man, Graham Pope, is here as well. For those of you watching us on our live video stream at the bottom of the page of sportstalksc.com, it's good to have you with us as well. Yes, you see here the tools of fighting a head cold. Kleenex that's already moisturized. You got to have that.
Okay.
So you don't rub your nose raw. Hall's cherry flavored triple action cough drops and fluids and a goodies powder. That's my remedy for a head cold defeat.
Very pleasant image.
Yeah. So anyway,
we're
going to fight through it here as always and not complain about the crappy condition that we're in. 800-956-7266 is the number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Time to get you dialed in on Gamecock football today. K-Mac, you were out there on the practice field. You were not a tackle dummy or anything like that. You were there as a live journalist.
I was. I mean, I would have been happy to volunteer as a tackle dummy.
Yeah.
They would have needed somebody, but
I've been that before.
nobody asked. Sure. Yeah. Many times. The tackle dummy. Let's hear what the head ball coach had to say, shall we?
Just a reminder about the reunion, 10-year reunion, Friday night at Seawells. I think we've got 90 to 100 former players coming back, so looking forward to seeing all those players and getting them introduced at halftime. We've got some of our teams on campus here scheduled for the halftime introductions. Of course, women's basketball, women's soccer, golf, men's golf. Yeah. Did you people know that men's golf has won 5 tournaments this year?
Yeah.
Number 4 in the nation currently right now. They don't get near the publicity they should get. We got a heck of a men's and women's team. They're both in the top 10 and so forth. So I think we got the men's team here. The girls are out of town. But looking forward to that. And we've got a celebrity off the bench receiver coming. Unknown at this time, but it could be a big celebrity that's going to attempt to catch off the bench play. Big time celebrity. All right,
Steve. Just as the spring session wraps up, have you seen pretty much what you expected to see throughout spring practice?
Yeah, we've seen a lot from a lot of these players who haven't played much at all, especially on offense. Defense has a lot of the players, especially linebackers, I think that are going to play next year. And maybe D-line and maybe even secondary a bit. But still, we got a lot of players coming in this summer, and we got a lot of players hurt. So this is not our team by any means. So the spring game will be just a lot of players who have not played very much out there having to go at it, and hopefully no one will get hurt, and we'll score a couple touchdowns and keep everything pretty simple. So that's the goal there, and get our introductions in and get ready for the off season, get ready for finals, and then get ready for the summer. Spring practice is only 4 weeks. The summer is 2.5 months. So that's more important probably time-wise than just the 4 weeks of spring ball. But, yeah, we've got quite a bit done. So I think it was very productive.
Steve, is it going to be a big deal Saturday for some of these guys playing in the stadium in front of people for the first time?
Yeah, I've always said that that's a time for some players that you don't know much about to shine, make a big catch or a big run or an interception, get a tackle or two, what have you. So we'll keep it pretty simple, no blitzing, 3-deep zone, maybe man-to-man, keep the coverages pretty simple, and let the guys go play. All right.
Thanks,
All right, man.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Steak man, I'm waiting for the go-ahead, and you're on the phone ordering pizza or something. Steve Spurrier from the Gamecock practice. Now, K-Mac, they brought, I guess, defensive people over today, and Deke Adams was one of those.
Deke Adams, a lot of eyes will be on that defense Saturday and beyond. The weak link, how are things going? Well, like Spurrier on his offensive line, Deke doesn't have a lot to deal with and with up front on his line right now.
Normally they wouldn't get as many reps, but it's good because we need them. And so I think we're getting better.
Offensive line has also had a lot of injuries.
Yep.
So are you really able to judge your guys' progress based going against kind of the back?
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same, that they've had a lot of injuries and they're working with 5 and 6 guys, but it's about the same for us. Because we're having to chase the ball 20 and 30 yards down the field and chase the quarterback, and things like that. So it averages itself out.
What is Lewis picking up?
He's doing fine. Still just learning a new system, but he's got all the tools to be exactly what we thought he could be. And I'm excited about getting some of these other guys in here to kind of cut some of the reps to where we can be fresh when we get on the field with all the guys and go from there.
It seems like he's been going against DJ Park a good bit. How did you kind of assess that battle?
Well, he's a right end right now, and we've been flipping him a little bit here and there. But like I said, they've had injuries, we've had injuries, so it's kind of mix and match the whole spring on where we put guys. So I don't know if right now that you could say, okay, he's done this to be exactly what we want, but I think he's going to be a really good player for us. We know he is. He's got all the tools to do it, but he's got a lot of work to do, and he understands that.
Phil Dukes get banged up over the weekend. Is that what
Yeah, I think he hurt his back a little bit this weekend in the scrimmage, and so it's just a precaution deal right now, and hopefully he'll be ready to go Saturday and Thursday.
What do you want to see from your guys on Saturday?
I want to see assignment and technique. We know it's a spring game. It's a spring game. We're going to be very, very minimal in what we do, and I want to see those guys playing their assignment and playing with good technique and just trying to get better. We're not treating it as a game. It's a practice. We've got to get better.
All right, Deke Adams, USC defensive line coach. You look at USC's defensive front for this coming season, and of course, Marquavius Lewis is a big improvement at one defensive end spot, but I don't know about the rest of it. The other side right now, David Johnson, and then you got Gerald Dixon Jr. and Boo Lamine. At the nose, you got Phillip Dukes, Kelsey Griffin, Dexter Weidman, defensive tackle, Taylor Stallworth in there as well. Can Lewis alone be enough of a impact guy to elevate that entire defensive front, or all of a sudden the same guys who couldn't get much of a pass rush going last year going to be that much more improved? Maybe they're going to have to blitz more to help these guys up front and create more havoc on offensive line in the backfield, blitz more, and try and get sacks that way. Of course, that means you have to have confidence in your secondary that they can play man coverage if you do that.
Yeah, and I think their secondary is going to be better. That back end of their defense should be a lot better. They had guys thrown out to the Wolves that are going to be more experienced and a year stronger and faster and smarter. So that could be one of the positives about what happened last year. And the key is, will Lewis be as good as advertised? Is he going to be able to step right in there? I have to see it to believe it guy. Right now he's just a kid that was playing junior college last year.
Yeah.
Up front, everybody was talking about the tackle spot. We'll have to see. You